Thank you very much for joining us here on News Desk. Now, government has directed the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to investigate former Deputy Energy Minister K.T. Hammond for his role in the sale of a drill ship to pay off a judgment debt. Now, the recommendation is contained in a government white paper on the judgment debt reports prepared by the Judgement Debt Commission. Government wants Kobna Tahir Hammond to explain how he disbursed about $900,000, a $900,000 balance resulting from the sale of the ship. Joseph Upoku-Gakpo has been going through the document.
They started sitting as in the Judgement Debt Commission back in 2010. That's when the president first inaugurated this commission. They had a 1-year duration to sit. They sought for extension. They ran for 2.5 years. Eventually, then they submitted the report to President Mills. That's about 6 months ago. President Mahama, I mean. And so, among others, in terms of the recommendations that were made, have to do with the issue with the drill ship. And let's just go through that briefly. You would recall that the GNPC entered into this contract with the SG Bank, and then things went bad. Eventually, they sued government in a London court. They got a judgment debt to the tune of $47 million US. As at the time that was given, according to government, they had agreed on a negotiated settlement of $14 million US. And the governments that had taken over, the NPP, had not gone to the court to indicate this to them, which was how come they went ahead with the default judgment. That's according to the findings of the commission. And so eventually, K.T. Hammond, who was then the deputy minister, was sent by President Kufuor, and these are the details in the commission's report, to go negotiate a settlement. And instead of the $47 million US, government agreed to pay $19.5 million US. And so a decision was taken to sell the drill ship, the Discoverer 511, to defray the debt, and it was sold for $24 million. And so when $19.5 million was used to settle the debt, there was the rest of the amount, which was $3.5 million US, which, according to the commission's report, government, or for that matter, the NPP government then has not fully accounted for how it spends that amount. And so they made a number of recommendations with regards to that particular amount. Let me run through them briefly. Government says that it's accepted the recommendation of the commission that the Minister of Finance and officials of the Controller and Accountant General's Department question the officials at the Ghana London, the Ghana High Commission in London at the time, so that then they render proper accounts. Those who were there between 2001 and 2006. First of all, they should render proper account on the $3.5 million US was spent. Secondly, explain how an amount of $141,000 that was paid into a Ghana International Bank account was also spent, and they also asking them to explain how another amount of $1.5 million US was also spent. And finally, the bit having to do with K.T. Hammond. Government is agreeing, or for that matter, accepting the recommendation of the Judgement Debt Commission that K.T. Hammond, the K.T. Hammond ensures that the law firm which assisted in the sale of the ship, one law firm known as Constant and Constant, how they disbursed an amount of $900,000 US that was paid into an escrow account in London, which was supposed to cater for future debts of the GNPC to creditors. It's a little messy there. So the directive is that EOCO should undertake investigations on the mandate, the authority, and the basis on which K.T. Hammond ordered for the disbursement of the said $900,000 US that was paid to the law firm to cater for future debts of the GNPC.
But in response, the Member of Parliament for Adansia Sokwa, K.T. Hammond, has accused government of refusing to confront the principal actors at GNPC, leading to the $47 million judgment debt awarded to Societe Generale. Now, he said former Chief Executive Officer of the GNPC, Chachu Chikata, was responsible for creating this huge debt which the NPP government managed to slash to $14 million. He was speaking to my colleague, Amos Tetteh, on Newsnight.
It looks like somebody was not listening. Somebody was not interested. Somebody was sitting out there just simply to make a case against K.T. Hammond, the NPP Kufuor's administration. It's simple as that. Because I thought that, that was basic. That was the list and whatever was basic. I would have thought that the report would be talking about Mr. Chikata, how the $47 million indebtedness to the people of Ghana came about. I thought that was what we'll be dealing with. And not the fact that, we made sure that those guys were paid the bank rent. Look, the list of institutions and companies who were owed by GMPC, you have no idea. Mr. Justice Apo, sitting at the High Court in 2001, had the occasion to order that GMPC pay Consolidated Discount House a total of around 30 billion OCs. That was because Mr. Tetteh, without the authority of the board then, and not simply because there was no authority, the board had actually asked him not to concede that loan because they didn't think it made any economic sense or that he had made a case for it. Mr. Tetteh, on the bland side of the board, went and collected the $2 million from Consolidated Discount House. As to how the money was dispersed, nobody knew about it. In the end, GMPC was saddled with a 30
Are you suggesting some wrongdoing on Mr. Chikata's part in this?
Absolutely. This whole messy issue is the product of Mr. Tetteh.
And it comes back to an issue that, again, it's curious on this $900,000 thing that had now been captured as something that's going to be investigated. You mentioned that somebody, Mr. Arthur also was a beneficiary. Which Mr. Arthur is this?
Mr. Arthur, who I had no idea, and I'm not sure, I have no idea who he was. I was informed that he should be given a specific sum of money. The list is there. The list was produced by GMPC.
Now, away from that, and there are rumors that the Ghana School of Surveying and Mapping near the 37 Military Hospital is to be shut down. Joy News has gathered there are attempts to demolish the school and the land given out for shopping malls. But the concerned students of the Ghana School of Surveying and Mapping are not happy with the decision. We've been joined over the telephone now by a concerned staff of the school who is going to tell us much more about this situation. And for purpose of this particular interview, we are not going to mention her name. We just call her Amma for the purposes of this interview. So, Madam, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, is it true that the school will be affected by a demolition exercise?
Yes. The school is earmarked for demolition.
Tell us much more about what you've been told about this exercise and reasons given for the exercise in the first place.
Okay, what I know is that when the land administration project was going to be started, that is in 2003, the plan was that all the other land sector agencies would be brought together and they would build a one-stop shop on this particular land where the service school is. And the service school had a land which was allocated for it behind the Nestle head office. But somehow we don't know how they changed the plan. But what happened, we just got wind of is that now, after bringing all the 4 land sector agencies together to form the new commission, the management has changed the plan and they said they are going to build the land commission head office only on this land. And they are trading the rest of the land to the estate developer. They have contacted the big headquarters for them. So the land is about acres, and they are sharing it into 3, giving 2 parts to the estate developer, and then they are keeping 1 part. And the estate developer is going to use it for a shopping mall. They have not made provision for relocating the school. And there are other offices on the premises, and it is actually the premises of the regional head, Greater Accra Regional Office of the Survey and Mapping Division. They have not made provision of moving this staff. The other units, the photogrammetry section, the instrumentation division, and also the geodetic reference network, all on this premises. And they have not made provision for moving it. But they are just going ahead to do all this. They want the estate developers to take possession of the land next week. So by the weekend, we go, by the time we come, they do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
The other people who are not staff, we call them squatters, who are on the land, they have paid them off already. So they came and demolished their structures last week. So the students are concerned. They don't know their fate. since 2013, no student who have passed through the school has received the certificate because the National Accreditation Board are requiring better facilities for the school. And they are not doing anything about that. The former head of the school, Surveyor J.T. Odamsi, took pains to register the land in the name of the school. So there's a certificate on the land, the name of Ghana Survey School. But after taking possession of it, they are just disregarding the school, the students and everything, and then they are going ahead to scatter the land for their head office. And the land is a government land. Concerned, if you look at the fact that this government made an issue of sale of government land against the NPP to come into power, if they are going ahead to do the same thing.
Right. So I understand your points there, but I'm still trying to get a grasp of certain things here. So it is not that you are being sacked from the premises entirely, because what you say suggests that you are getting access to 1/3 of the piece of land over there. Is that the case?
Yes, but what they are keeping, they are not keeping it for the school or for the staff, but they say they are keeping it for the head of the Land Commission. So the building they are going to put up there will be the headquarters of the Land Commission, which is going to be occupied by the head of the Land Commission, not the production staff, those of us who are here already and helping in the production.
So that means, should they go ahead with this exercise, this particular school you speak of is going to be demolished. And are there any plans as to where exactly you are going to operate from?
No, that is the problem. That is why the students are concerned. They have not made provision for relocating the school. What we heard is that they are asking government secretariat and then WAEC and CSIR to give us a place. And even when we asked whether they will pay the rent, but they said no. Land Commission says it hasn't got money to pay for anything for the school. So the school should find its own money. You see, and this school, like I was saying, it's a specialized school. They are a specialized school, so their fees is even higher than Lagos students. They have about 400 students in the school. So if they throw them out right now, where do they go? As far as the staff, maybe they will go and pack it up like sardines with the head office staff. So we don't know. And they are even saying that there's a building in the premises of the Land Valuation Board now, where the civil aviation people have stopped them putting up that building because it's a high-rise building, and because the planes pass there, they said they will not give them permission to put up that building. And we heard that that is the building they said they plan complete and send the staff from this place.
Okay.
There.
So please tell me about this particular thing, your academic calendar, for instance. I need to know, for instance, now as we speak, where are the students?
The students are on the premises now. They are demonstrating.
The students are currently on the premises demonstrating?
Yes.
And there's been no word from government or any government official as to what plans they have?
To them. They said that nobody has consulted them or told them anything, not even their principal. Right. Because they have called the principal. They have threatened all the staff. The principal is the staff. So they have said that nobody should talk to the press. Otherwise, they will punish you, they will dismiss you.
So if you say they have threatened the staff, including the principal.
They have even sent a circular to all of us.
Who is they?
If you can, pardon me.
Who is they?
The executive secretary and his staff, the bosses.
The executive secretary of the Lands Commission.
Last December, the UTVV people got wind of this issue. And so they came to the premises when they have thrown out some items from some rooms into the open, and it was being destroyed by the rain. So two of our staff spoke to them, and they threatened them. They called them. They even set up a disciplinary committee, and they called them before it and gave it to them well. And we don't know their fate up to now. It was after that they sent circulars where that nobody should talk to the press. So everybody's afraid because they are threatening us of dismissal.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Many thanks for that particular information, and we'll keep our eyes on this particular one and try and get some answers from the Lands Commission as well as government to bring closure to this particular issue, and I must say it's quite disturbing that the only school that trains surveyors here in the country is actually, according to this report or information, is going to be demolished and the land given out to a private investor to build malls. We'll keep our eyes on this and bring you much more on this subsequently. But away from that, today is World Toilet Day. Now, on this day, the world turns its focus to access to this basic facility that has eluded many. Now, the Joy News team visited one of Accra's arguably cleanest public toilets in Accra. Amavi Oushoboji has more on expectations.
Today is World Toilet Day, and I've come out of the comfort of the studio, the environment that I'm used to every morning at least, to Kole Wako is in the Odododio constituency, and I'm right in front of a public toilet. I want to find out why people come here each morning. Obviously, because most of them don't have the toilet facilities in their home. Even after all the advocacies, you would find later on this morning, when government is observing World Toilet Day, for instance, that different agencies, different groupings, you'll find civil society all gather trying to say that people who don't have toilet should own one in their homes. But it's not that easy. We talk, but what is reality is what you find here. I've got a lady here who've just finished using it. So what's your name?
Sabina.
Sabina, do you use this place every day?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me exactly what you've done, because I know that you can take your bath, you can also use the toilet. So which of the facilities did you use?
I use the toilet.
Okay, how much did you pay?
50 pesos for the toilet and 40 pesos for the graphic.
For the graphic, as in the paper that you used to. Okay, so you buy the paper and the
I bought the toilet roll.
Toilet roll is how much?
50 pesos.
And then the graphic
is 40 pesos.
Okay. So how do you feel after using the place?
Oh, okay, I feel cool. It's very nice.
But don't you have a toilet where you live?
We have, but it's locked. That's why we always come here.
Why is it locked?
Okay, the key is with someone, and the person doesn't stay around our house, so it's like we have to come to the public toilet.
Okay. So, you know, when you're running, because usually you don't know what will happen to you, anything can happen as we are standing here. When, you know, the pressure is really on and you want to do it so badly, what do you do? Do you run here all the time?
Yeah, sometimes I do run here.
Okay. So if you had one wish, I mean, because today is World Toilet Day, what would it be? To have a toilet that you can use at all times, or what?
Yeah, I would prefer to have a toilet so that I can use it all the time.
Okay.
Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Neelante Vanderpoel, was on the AM show earlier this morning and explained what Ghana is doing to commemorate the day.
What we are going to do today is basically to launch the new initiative. We've gotten $100 million from the World Bank through the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Water and Sanitation Program, where we'll be constructing toilets in homes. These monies will be accessible. We also have the...
In Accra?
Yes, in Greater Accra.
And the toilets, how would they be? Contractors would have to take and do those up, or the house?
Yeah, yes, we as much as possible, we are going to encourage biofuels, because that makes it more. And so
do you know biofuels will be encouraged, or you influence?
No, you see, what we are doing is, one, when you sign on, we assign the contractor to come and build. There are contractors who have specialized in the building of the biofuel toilets. So they have multiple of them. Then we assign them, maybe this one is for AMA, this one is for Ladma, this one is for Lekma, this one is for maybe Madina, Lamquantanan, and also all those districts. So they will continually build. We are qualified engineers, some of them from the universities, who have come together as a consortium to do this. And then we also will continue with the orthodox one we have in the system, the main, like the one me and you have in our homes, the water closet ones. That is
the one especially will be...
No, not the dislodging. As much as we want to discourage the dislodgement, we want to encourage water closet toilets, where to go straight into the central sewer system. The new Accra sewer plant has been rebuilt, and it's not going to start operation as from December. We want to put a closure to Lavender Hill. So the bywater system is also, the digester is also working, which is going to about 30% of the sludge from the eastern part of Accra. The Legon one is also functioning, which will be taking close to about 30% of the pressure from the Accra West. So slowly we will be able to have the capacity to take the ones that are coming from the dislodgement trucks But we want as many people to have the biofuel so that for 20 years, 30 years, people will not have to spend money on the dislodgement of toilets.
All right. I was in News Desk here on Joy News More TT. We're taking a quick break. We'll bring you more shortly.